and welcome to World Today. A lot of important events took place during the course of the week, beginning with 5 years of Paris Agreement. Where does the world stand? 50 years of the liberation war in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh continues to wait for justice and demands apology from Pakistan for the genocide committed in 1971. As also one of the biggest international stories when it comes to kidnappings, over 300 children have been kidnapped by the Boko Haram. The fight against climate change has been a tough battle, a battle among nations of who sacrifices what and how much. A war of who stays on the course and who falls off the tracks. 5 years after the signing of the Paris Agreement, there is yet a lot to be achieved. But the biggest challenge has been to keep the big shots on board. With much relief world over, it is seen that the United States of America, one of the biggest players, is going to rejoin the Paris Agreement.
To protect American workers, I withdrew the United States from the unfair and one-sided Paris Climate Accord, a very unfair act for the United States. The Paris Accord was not designed to save the environment. It was designed to kill the American economy. I refuse to surrender millions of American jobs and send trillions of American dollars to the world's worst polluters and environmental offenders. And that's what would have happened.
It's been a year of critical battle to pursue Trump administration back on board since his withdrawal came into effect in November 2020.
Doing the things we need to do to harness.
It was a challenge in the fight against climate change impacts from the moment in November 2019 when the US declared its intent to withdraw from the Paris Accord of 2015. But ahead of the 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference of Parties next year, the US President-elect Joe Biden promises to return to this fold to fight against the worst crisis facing the world today, the climate.
I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord because with us out of it, look what's happening. It's all falling apart. And talk about someone who has no relationship with foreign policy.
Having the US as a state joining back is a great message of hope and a new energy to move forward and achieve a goal that were set 5 years ago in Paris and needs to be confirmed and even increased if we want to keep the increase in temperature beyond 2 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial level, which is our goal.
Countries get together in Paris with a goal.
5 years ago, in 2015, the Paris Accord was adopted, a global framework for action against global warming. 194 nations signed on to the document as a word of promise to reduce global warming and fight climate change impacts.
It's very important that they take the right decisions. There's plenty of time for that they take the right decisions, they prepare their commitments, and they join this alliance for carbon neutrality in the middle of the century. That is an appeal that I make to every single country in the world.
The stakes are high for the Glasgow COP26. Each nation has to announce its objectives for 2030. The Europeans have set the target to reduce carbon emission to at least 55% compared to 1990 levels. Each country has to find its way towards carbon neutrality by 2050. And in that, the developed nations must seek climate justice for the developing nations that are the most vulnerable on the planet today, living the consequences of mistakes of the past.
Durant les 3 dernières années, nous avons fait vivre cet accord de Paris et son esprit tous ensemble, malgré le choix américain, pour continuer à avancer, œuvrer avec tous les acteurs ici présents. Et je veux vraiment saluer la mobilisation européenne et la formidable coopération durant ces années avec la Chine.
As the world tries to recover from one of the worst health crises it has ever faced, the COVID-19 pandemic, question remains whether climate issues have been overshadowed by these turn of events.
Nigeria is a country that has been troubled by armed gunmen and jihadist attacks time and time again. It struck again when Boko Haram, a terror outfit notoriously known for kidnapping children, kidnapped more than 300 schoolboys. After hard negotiations, The boys returned home, but that is not the end of the story, even as the country heaves a sigh of relief. Here's a report.
The only thing missing in these classrooms are the children. Their bags and books remain, but they are gone, more than 300 of them. Nigeria's Boko Haram rebels claim to have kidnapped them at gunpoint from the government science secondary school in Kankara on 18th December. Agitated and worried parents keep coming back to the empty school every day.
It's almost 3 days I'm here. I'm here whether I can see my child that has been kidnapped on Friday night from those bandit people here in Etna State. So always when I came here, I expect that I can see my son. But honestly speaking, still I didn't see my son. That's why I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. I'm not happy.
The Nigerian government and the attackers negotiated for a week over the fate of the boys. The abduction became a rallying cry for Nigerians fed up with the growing violence in the country. Hashtag Bring Back Our Boys has trended on social media as people express their frustration. A similar hashtag Bring Back Our Girls became an international rallying cry for the 276 Chibok girls kidnapped in 2016. About 100 of the girls are still missing.
Nobody is happy about the insecurity in the nation, right? So everybody, even kids, are afraid of being in Nigeria, of staying in the present Nigeria now because of the insecurity. Just imagine children being abducted in the president state. It's unfair.
The government science secondary school in Kankara had 800 students enrolled and attending on the day of the abduction. While more than half of them managed to escape, 344 boys were abducted by the armed assailants. A joint rescue operation was launched on Saturday, 12th December by Nigeria's police, Air Force and the army. The kidnappers' hideout location was identified in the Zangopola forest. While the attempt proved unsuccessful, one of the abducted boys did manage to escape.
Dare yana ta yi duk kowa ya galabaita har gari ya waye. Nan gari ya fara wayewa sai aka samu guri aka ce mu zauna. Bayan mun zauna muna a zaune haske ya fara yi. To bayan haske ya fara yi safiya ta fara yi rana ta fara hitowa sai muka ga jirgi ya fara hitowa. Jirgi ya fara hitowa sai suka samu kalkashin itace suka ce mana mu kwakkwanta.
17-year-old Usama Aminu managed to stray from the group at a stopping point and found a mosque to hide inside. He was discovered by locals who offered him a change of clothes from his school uniform to disguise him. He returned home after 2 days of ordeal on Sunday.
Na yi farin ciki, na yi murna sosai. Sai dai kuma ba zai yi in fito in nuna murna na saboda akwai yara a daji ba shi kadai bane. Kuma ba shi kadai nake so ba, sauran ma ina son su. Babban guri na abin da na so a ce dukkan su yadda aka kwashe su gaba daya a ce kuma gaba daya kowa na shi ya dawo. Kin ga gari gaba daya sai mu haɗu sai mu murna. Amma yanzu in na fito na ce ina murna ni kadai bai daidai ba.
Finally, a week later, on 17th December, all 344 of them were released and handed over to security officers in Nigeria. They returned to Katsina on Friday morning.
Thank the people of Katsina State, especially the parents and the general public for their support, understanding and prayers. And to the press for making this not only a national issue but a global international issue but we do know that we do not pay money to get them back.
For more than 10 years, Boko Haram, which literally means books are taboo, has engaged in terror activities to discourage Western-style education. The extremist group calls for harking back to Islamic traditions. A point of further concern is the group's spreading reach, because while so far Boko Haram has been mainly active in northeast Nigeria, this school in Kankara is in the northwest of the country.
While Bangladesh celebrates 50 years of freedom, the one issue that still continues to haunt every Bangladeshi is the fact that Pakistan is yet to acknowledge the war crimes of 1971. Bangladeshis world over rose and demanded an apology from Pakistan, the least a nation can do for the genocide committed by her.
To mark the 50th year of their identity, Bangladeshis the world over made it a point to demand an apology from Pakistan for the genocide of 1971 committed by the Pakistan Army deployed in East Pakistan, the present-day Bangladesh. Not just in Dhaka, rallies and protests were organized and carried out throughout the week that marks the anniversary of the surrender at Dhaka by Pakistan.
I am a Bangladeshi, patriotic Bangladeshi. You know, in 1971, within a day, they killed 100,000 people in 25th March. Basically, they targeted the son of the soil and the Hindu community, their teacher, their lawyer, and their temple and the villages. And they killed 3 million people and raped 4,100 women.
Rallies and processions were held across Bangladesh on 14 December, and a memorandum was sent to the Prime Minister of Pakistan demanding the apology. The letter was handed over to the Pakistani envoy in Dhaka by Bangladesh's Mukti Juda Mancho.
We demand Pakistan to offer the unconditional apology to the people of Bangladesh for their intellectual killings and genocide in the liberation war of 1971. If they don't show their unconditional apology to the people of Bangladesh, we will go to International Crimes Tribunal for the justice for the people of Bangladesh who were killed in 1971.
The genocide in Bangladesh began on 26 March 1971 with the launch of Operation Searchlight as Pakistan began a military crackdown across East Pakistan. Unrest had been brewing and the entire East province had been in revolt against what was seen as the hegemony of the western half of the country. The genocide and oppression by the Pakistan Army continued for 9 long months. The actual count of the dead is disputed by both sides, but the killings and rapes only firmed the resistance, but it left an indelible mark on the Bangladeshi psyche. In its 50th year of having separated from Pakistan, Bangladesh has reiterated its demand that Pakistan not only acknowledges the genocide, but apologizes for it. Dhaka wants Islamabad to punish the perpetrators who committed war crimes in 1971.
Welcome back to World Today. Before we discuss what is happening on the vaccine front, let's take you through stories from across the world in World at a Glance.
The trial of 14 people linked to the January 2015 Paris attacks on the satirical weekly Charlie Hebdo and a kosher supermarket ended on 16th December. The fugitive widow of one of the mastermind brothers, along with an Islamic State gunman and a man described as his logistician, were convicted of terrorism charges. All 3 were sentenced to 30 years in prison. The other defendants were found guilty on different charges, ranging from membership of a criminal network to complicity in the attacks. All 3 main attackers had died in police raids in 2015. The widow Hayat Boumediene fled to Syria and is believed to be still alive. A French court on 17th December convicted an Islamic State operative in a train attack carried out 5 years ago. It was foiled with a dramatic tackle by 3 American passengers. The court sentenced Ayub al-Khazani to life in prison, with 22 years guaranteed behind bars. 3 other accomplices who were not on the train were also convicted of complicity and were handed sentences ranging from 7 to 27 years. The verdict closes the month-long trial of al-Khazani for attempted terrorist murder. He had boarded the train to Paris on 21st August 2015 with an arsenal of weapons. The Court of Arbitration for Sport barred Russia from the use of its flag and anthem in the next year's Olympics in Tokyo and the 2022 Winter Games in Beijing. Russian teams won't officially be called Russian teams, but Russia will be printed on their red, white and blue uniforms. Russia is also barred from hosting big sports events until December 2022, or bidding for new ones during that time. The case centers on a database from the Moscow testing laboratory that was long sealed by Russian state authorities. It was handed over to World Anti-Doping Agency last year. WADA found that data had been deleted, altered and added. On 17th December, Spanish Parliament voted to approve a bill that will allow physician-assisted suicide and euthanasia for long-suffering patients of incurable diseases or bearable permanent conditions. The bill now faces a vote in the Senate where it is also expected to pass. As of December 2020, active human euthanasia is legal in the Netherlands, Belgium, Colombia, Luxembourg, Western Australia, Spain and Canada. Assisted suicide is legal in Switzerland, Germany, the Australian state of Victoria and in 9 US states. French President Emmanuel Macron tested positive for the COVID-19 on Thursday. Hours after he tested positive for COVID-19, the French president released a planned speech by video conference wearing a white mask. But the brief statement did not say what symptoms Macron experienced. Macron had attended a EU summit with other European leaders last week. The French and Spanish prime ministers and EU Council president are among many top officials self-isolating because they had recent contact with Macron. His wife, Brigitte Macron, tested negative. 104-year-old Spanish woman recovered from COVID-19 just a year after beating a nasty bout of flu. The lady's doctor said that she contracted pneumonia after being infected by the new coronavirus. Alina was in a COVID-19 ward for 14 days. While leaving the hospital, she said she wished for good health and hoped that everything would be fixed soon.
After the UK, now the United States of America has started administering the Pfizer vaccine. This even as UK has reported a new strain of the virus that could, experts feel, be the reason behind the recent surge in coronavirus cases. But despite that, administering of the vaccine continues in the UK and the US.
The morning bell tolled 300 times for nearly half an hour to mark the death of 3 lakh Americans due to the coronavirus. This is how on 15 December, the Washington National Cathedral of the US marked the pandemic deaths. Meanwhile, there are more than 1 crore and 60 lakh confirmed infections in the country. The nationwide vaccination drive in the US rolled out a day before, on 14 December. In the first round, the vaccine is being administered to healthcare workers. The first American citizen to be vaccinated was New York City nurse Sandra Lindsay.
I am hopeful. I feel hopeful today. Relieved. I feel like healing is coming. I hope this marks the beginning to the end of a very painful time in our history.
In Kentucky, 5 healthcare workers were vaccinated on the first day. as did the acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller.
No, that's it?
That's it.
Oh, come on. That didn't hurt at all.
The first doses of the FDA-authorized COVID-19 vaccine developed by Pfizer were delivered to all the states, the Districts of Columbia and Puerto Rico. The other coronavirus vaccine candidate developed by biotechnology company Moderna is all set to get emergency authorization by federal regulators in the US. It is expected to roll out across the country by next week. The vaccine claims to be above 94.1% effective in curbing the virus.
We're literally going to watch in the days ahead the distribution of tens of millions of safe and effective vaccines to the American people. Before the end of this week, I am told that the Pfizer vaccine will be distributed in the total of 2.9 million doses to the American people. And as we learned traveling through Catalans always today, pending the approval from the FDA, that some 20 million doses of the Moderna vaccine could be shipped right from this facility out to the point of the need in states across the country.
While the US is vaccinating its frontline workers in the health sector, there are still concerns that the vaccine may have side effects.
The real question is just keeping an eye on the healthcare workers. What you wouldn't want to imagine doing is vaccinating all of your healthcare workers at exactly the same time on exactly the same day. You would want to cycle that. Why would you want to do that? Because some people will have fevers, some people will maybe have more headaches and things like that. So you just don't want to take all of those adverse events that are going to happen, right? With a normal vaccine, they're going to happen. You don't want to take those all in one day. So I think that that's where the healthcare systems will be very, very thoughtful.
COVID relief package.
In the meantime, top Democrat leaders and other senators are pushing for more federal funding for vaccine distribution as talks on a long-delayed COVID-19 aid package intensified in the U.S. Senate.
People who are being infected. We're in our third wave, and it's bad. It's really bad.
That's all on the show, but before I go, I'll leave you with these beautiful visuals. Mount Etna provided a spectacular night show on the 14th of December. The orange fountain of lava spewing into the sky could be seen from the city of Catania in southern Sicily. However, there was no damage caused to the towns that dot the mountain slopes. Enjoy the visuals.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.